Welcome to Najib Azad Exclusives. Today we are talking about serious business. In this episode, we begin examining the doctrine known as strategic depth, a concept that, for decades, has shaped Pakistan's military thinking and Afghanistan's instability. From the tribal proxies of 1947 to the Taliban of today, this doctrine has turned Afghanistan into something more than a neighbor. It has turned it into a battlefield of influence. So today, we begin by asking a simple but critical question. How did instability become a strategy? Strategic depth, the business model of endless war. What if I told you that for nearly 8 decades, one military establishment has turned other people's wars into its long-term business model? That Afghanistan was never just a neighbor, but a managed battlefield? Today, we begin a serious conversation, not about personalities, but about patterns. Pakistan's military establishment has long used a doctrine called strategic depth. On paper, it sounds defensive, a buffer strategy, a way to prevent encirclement. But in practice, it has meant something very different, turning Afghanistan into an arena to be penetrated, pressured, and periodically destabilized whenever Kabul attempts stability. This is not new. In 1947, irregular tribal forces were used in Kashmir. In 1965, Operation Gibraltar attempted infiltration through proxy fighters. In 1971, paramilitary auxiliaries were used in what became Bangladesh. The lesson institutionalized inside Rawalpindi was simple: proxies are cheaper than conventional wars. Then came Afghanistan. During the Soviet occupation, the CIA's Operation Cyclone ran through Pakistan's ISI. Billions of dollars flowed, weapons flowed, fighters flowed, but more importantly, infrastructure was built. Recruitment pipelines, ideological networks, training camps, financial channels. The war ended, the infrastructure remained. That infrastructure later facilitated the Taliban project. It later intersected with Al-Qaeda. It later intersected with the global war on terror. This is why many analysts describe Pakistan not as a country with an army, but as an army with a country. The incentives are clear. A stable Afghanistan reduces leverage. An independent Afghanistan weakens the strategic depth doctrine. A diversified Afghanistan threatens monopoly control. Instability, on the other hand, keeps Pakistan indispensable. And when the world pays you most during crises, crises become renewable. This isn't conspiracy, it's incentive structure. And now we arrive at something more recent, something measurable. A repeated sequence: praise in Washington, bombs in Kabul. In the next episode, we examine how global powers have repeatedly funded this model. Because this is not just Afghanistan's tragedy, it is a global risk. And once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. And what happens when a military establishment openly admits it is financially broken, yet continues launching cross-Durand line strikes? Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif recently described his country as financially broken. He compared Pakistan to a lame body that needs crutches to walk. He described it as being on a ventilator, with US financial support acting as oxygen. That is not my metaphor. That is theirs. In another interview, Asif admitted Pakistan had done the dirty work of the United States and Britain for decades. Wars were fought in exchange for money and strategic backing. So let's connect the dots. If your economic survival depends on geopolitical relevance, and your relevance depends on managing instability, then instability becomes profitable. For decades, Pakistan has positioned itself as indispensable during the anti-Soviet jihad, during the war on terror, during Taliban negotiations, during regional ceasefire mediation. Each time, financial packages followed, military aid followed, strategic indulgence followed. But here is the paradox. The same state has repeatedly been accused of harboring militant sanctuaries. The same state demanding sovereignty has violated Afghan sovereignty. The same leadership requesting financial support launches strikes that destabilize the very region it claims to stabilize. And now we come to the modern pattern. In the next episode, I will walk you through documented dates when Pakistan's leadership was publicly praised in Washington, and within days, Afghanistan was bombed. This is not speculation. This is chronology, and chronology matters. When praise becomes policy signal and policy signal becomes airstrike, we must ask, coincidence or pattern? This is only the first chapter of the story. Thank you for watching Najib Azad Exclusives. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next episode.